And I want to start off just reading. I'm going to read Chris's verse. The book of love has secrets in its pages. Some are rather new and some are very old. Some of them require lengthy explanations. Some of them never have to be told. But I love it when you speak to me. You can tell me anything. So we've been journeying the metaphysical journey about using the traditional Christian Advent wreath from hope, hope and joy, love, peace, hope, peace, joy, love. Hope's the possibility of the vision of the emerging future self, the highest potential self, which creates a world that works for all. Peace can teach us how to get there. I think that peace is about enjoying the now, that you find yourself choosing peace in the now. And joy is about expanding, loving, finding joy in whatever now moment you're in. And love, love. And now these three remain, faith, hope, and love, but the greatest of these is love. That's from 1 Corinthians. So, love is actually, I love that song so much because love is complicated, right? The book of love. It says in the first verse, it's like the book of love is long and boring. No one can lift the damn thing. It's like, it's kind of apt in our lives and metaphysically too. Now, exploring love, here's what I want to hit. Love is a choice. It's a choice in our journey to love. And I have some stories about love that really touched me that I want to share. First of all, I have to start with Roland and I have been Monday through Friday for the past 5 weeks, and we got 1/2 a week left. We've been up at Iowa City. He's having radiation Monday through Friday. He's fine. It's great prognosis. Everything will be good. He'll have surgery in January. Everything will be fine for a sarcoma on his leg. But we have been staying at some place called Hope Lodge, the American Cancer Society. So there's a lot of people there who have all kinds of stories. And I was struck by one story of love. There was a young woman, I'm going to call her young if she's younger than me, but she seemed fairly young, and she was there alone for I don't know how many weeks, and she was having radiation for brain cancer. And she got the news. I found out later. I knew she was upset, and she kind of left, and she was upset because she found out they were going to say, well, there's nothing else we can do for you. We're just going to send you home. You're going to get sick, and you're going to die. And her grandmother, she had been there alone, but her grandmother came up to spend the last 2 weeks with her, the last days with her. And she was a different person there with her grandmother there. And that's one of those gripping things of love we feel. We feel the love we have for the people in our lives, right? And then the things we're willing to do for them, the things we're willing to do for the people we love. And that's a beautiful kind of love, and that's a beautiful kind of choice. And then there is another kind of love. When we're up there, people come and volunteer and make us dinner. They don't know us, but they come and they make us dinner. And I cannot tell you how wonderful it is to have dinner made for you when you're not in your own house. And I admit that I might whine a little bit about not enough vegetables, but it still feels like a tremendous amount of love that those people who don't know me come and make me dinner. And they make all of us who are staying there dinner. That's a different kind of love. And then I was going to ask Dan to come up because there's another story of love that he tells better than I do because he knows more about the subject. He's going to tell us about Chef D, who's somebody in Des Moines who is an example of love. So I'm going to pretend I'm a drummer while you talk. Here we go.
So, am I on here? Yeah. A number of years ago, I live on the south side, and there's a little restaurant opened on Southwest 9th Street, just kind of between Watrous and McKinley down there. There's a little hole-in-the-wall place, and it's called Rock Power Pizza. And so at some point, we stopped in, and youngish guy running the place. He's from Detroit, and he's kind of a character, and he's very approachable, and we got to talking. And over the years, we've gotten to know him a little bit enough. And he's got a very interesting story. He was living in Detroit, just getting by, doing a lot of things that he didn't really want to do. Put food on the table. And at some point, he decided to change his life, and he said he had a long talk with God, and he decided to go get a real job, and he could cook. He was an excellent cook. He is an excellent cook. And so he said he went to 10 restaurants and got turned down, and he was about ready to go back to what he'd been doing, and he stopped, and he just broke down, and he said, God, I can't do that. And so he went to one more and told it was a Greek restaurant, told the owner that he needed a job and why, and the guy hired him on the spot. And he turned around and said, well, now I owe something. So one way or another, I'm not exactly sure, he ended up in Des Moines, but every Monday he closes the restaurant to the paying public, and he takes everything that's in the donation jar and he cooks a big pot of some homemade food, and anyone can show up and eat for free. And it's just a remarkable story. And he's had a lot of ups and downs in Des Moines, and he also has gotten help from people he didn't know. There are churches who have pitched in and helped him make mortgage payments and this kind of stuff. And it's just this incredible story of a guy who escaped a life and has paid it back with just an enormous amount of love and respect for what he's doing. So it's an amazing story.
The name of
It's called Rock Power Pizza, and he goes by Chef D. His name's Derek. I don't know what his last name is, but he goes by Chef D. And he's a very engaging character, and if you walk in the door, you will meet him. If he's working, you will meet him, because he welcomes you into his living room almost. It's an amazing experience. And his food is over the top. His sandwiches are some of the best in town. It is absolutely worthwhile going there on many levels.
I know that everybody here has made the choice to love when perhaps it was easier not to, or when you and not just the people in our lives, the other people. But I want us to take it to a deeper level. So if love is what we are, if love is what is our being, if love is how we recognize that the Christ is in us, it's that choice of love. That if you take this person who is here and you want to find out what your essence is, in any moment, you got to start with what's there, how you're feeling right at the moment. Wherever you're at, you got to start with the moment, and you keep going deeper and deeper until you come to love. And it might look like the book's too heavy. Okay? Because I am struck over and over again how sometimes, like right now on a Sunday, it is really easy for me to feel the love. When I listen to Chris sing, and I'm here with people who, are open-hearted and loving, it is so easy for me to get in touch with my Christ self. That's not a problem. Sunday morning, easy. When I'm in meditation with a bunch of people, there's lots of ways, right, that it's easy. hey, maybe Christmas dinner, you might have a mixed bag. Maybe at your Christmas dinner with your family, it's easy to feel the love. Maybe it's not. You know, we have different kinds of families. Usually when it's me and Roland in the room, we're okay. But like if sometimes when we're with our extended family, the book is heavy and complicated. And it's hard to lift it. It's hard to lift that book. But the spiritual walk, you know, what we do our training and we do our knowledge and we do our training just so that we can get to the essence of ourselves, which is love, you know. We do that training so that we can lift the book. We do our training so that we are able to be loved, so that we are actually able to create a world that works for all, you know, to pay it forward. It's interesting that when I worked at Unity of Lakewood, I think, we would go and serve dinner. It was in Colorado. We would serve dinner for Ronald McDonald House. It was one of the volunteer things we did. And I thought it was okay. And I didn't, but I had no idea about how much that felt like love till I was on the receiving end. You know, till I was on the receiving end. So I want to say over and over again to all of us that if we extend ourselves just a little, if we can be a little more giving or a little more loving, you have no idea how that lands and how much good you do. You just have no idea. You don't even have how much good you do when you join, like when you come to church, like on a day like today, you know, or any day, or when you go to a birthday party, or show up at Chef D's, or any of the number of things you do, how your presence alone can land with somebody. There's times in our lives when we live with a lot of people and we have a lot of support, and there's times in our lives when we're not around so many. I come from a big family, so I feel pretty lucky because I'm the oldest of 8 kids. I figure that I have lots of relatives and nieces and nephews and kids and grandkids, and I will probably not be without relatives. But I know a lot of people. I know people who are my friends who don't come from big families, who maybe are mostly alone. So whatever your situation is, I guess what I'm saying is you're here to be the light for somebody else, and you don't even know who you're the light for. You don't even know who you're the light for, but your job is to get up and keep going. To get up and keep going, even if it's a complicated book, even if the book is heavy. And so, you know, I think you know you have to keep going. You know you have to be loved. But let me come back to the part, the teaching, the spiritual teaching, I think that really helps us from unity is what happens when you don't feel loving. Are you still loved? I say over and over again, and we teach in unity, you're the Christ, you are loved. It doesn't matter what you do, you are still that light of God. Well, what about when you don't feel like the light of God? What about that? How can you know you are? And here's the secret. The secret is, well, there's 2 secrets. The first secret is you decide, I am going to choose love. You make the choice. Love instead of fear. Love instead of pain. You make that choice. And then the way to choosing love is, oddly enough, in the moment. You have to actually be in the moment. You have to be present to whatever there is. You actually have to be present to all the unloving parts or all the unloving stuff in order to find the love, you know. I watched the movie Love Actually. I was trying to watch it on my TV. Let's see. I think it came out was it actually the 90s? Is that long ago? I remember, or 2000, early 2000s or something. I remember watching that movie, and at the time I had just spent some time learning and studying about unconditional love or agape love. And when I watched that movie, Love Actually, it really annoyed me because to me, that movie was about romantic love. And I felt as if that movie was missing the point, you know. And then I watched it again, and I realized that was just my projection, you know. That there's some beautiful parts of that movie. That it wasn't. Yeah, it's sort of like the high point moments seem to be the two-person romantic love. But then again, what about there was a part of the movie where the woman actually doesn't choose the romantic love, and she ends up being with her brother in the hospital, who can't function, you know. So she chooses that love, and I realized that is the cliche, the romantic love. If you're like me and you've watched a few Hallmark Channel movies this year, you'll notice that it seems like the payoff for most of those movies is at the last 3 minutes, the two people find each other, and it's somewhere at Christmas, you know, whether they find each other somewhere at Christmas. And they overcome whatever their difficulties were standing between them, usually projections, you know, whatever. So, and then they're romantic together. So you would think that the payoff is you get a date at Christmas. I don't know. And I'll admit, when I was 16, that was all I wanted for a long time. And that's why I was getting irritated at the movie, Love Actually. But the real truth is, especially, you know, I guess I'll say I'm lucky. I've had a lot of love in my life, and I've had a few romantic relationships. I still have one, you know, like so far. Haven't managed to. And I haven't managed to end up alone, I was going to say, but it sounds like a sad little joke. So, but the real choice of love is to choose love, and in the moment, whether you feel like love or not, to go with what is, and to use your spiritual training, your spiritual. Let's say you know that spiritual training that everybody is the Christ. You know how to take time. You know how to find love in you and love in the moment, and you know how to do that pausing. You know, that's why we do all the meditation. That's why we do all the connecting. That's why we do a lot of what we do, so that in the pausing moment, you can find the love in you, and you can get through the not love, and you can get through to the real Christmas message, or the real choosing love message, which is the story about Shefti. You know? I had a couple more stories. The story of the grandmother for somebody she knew, and then the people you don't know. I have a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law who go to Haiti, and they volunteer in Haiti, and they actually, Roland's sister, Renee, her second marriage, she married this guy named Raymond. With his first wife, who passed on, they adopted some kids from Haiti. They adopted 3 kids, but they also go they travel at least once or twice a year to help Haiti. You know, part of their mission is to work in the orphanage, or bring money, bring supplies and stuff to the people of Haiti. I was reading that Josie Altidore, who is a U.S. soccer team player, he wanted to help. I guess he was just 19. I was so young and my career was just starting. Must have been when he was sometime around the World Cup when they were playing. His parents are Haitian. So at 19 years old, he started the Josie Altidore Foundation. His dream for the foundation is to bring clean water to the nearly 5 million Haitians who do not have access. It's about half the nation. To get fresh, clean water in Haiti, it's very hard. His foundation teamed up with Generosity Water, another organization, and the first well helped 500 people, and he's just getting started. My hope for Haiti is that in the next 20-odd years, it's a place that people go to vacation and have nothing but positive things to say about it. Wishful thinking, but I'd like to get there. Here's my last story. I just had a lot of good news stories about people who chose love for people they didn't know. Charlene Zia and friends Chandani Doshi, Grace Lee, Jailene Shi, Bonnie Wang, and Tanya Yu were taking part in the Make MIT Hackathon, MIT's technology design competition. So they had a certain number of hours to work together, and they came up with an idea to make a Braille reader, a text-to-Braille converter. So there hadn't actually been something that you could, like if you're in the grocery store and you're a blind person, it would read the label and then turn it into Braille for you. What was I going to, so that was a team, and Paul Paravano is the co-director of MIT's Government and Community Relationships Office. He's been blind since age 3. He told Team Tactile that their invention could have a huge impact on the visually impaired community, especially since they experience many pain points when it comes to access to information. No more than 5% of books are accessible to them through Braille. And ultimately, providing someone who is visually impaired with the ability to read any book out in the world was too important not to pursue. So let's say only 5% of the books are translated into Braille, and maybe a little more than that are translated into audiobooks, because that's becoming more and more popular. But reading the place you want to read is probably pretty important. And that they're actually working, that this just happened, they worked on it as a team. They now have funding and help from Microsoft Make What's Next patent program. But just another good news example of people extending past their love. So the end of this talk for all of you is that I love you, and I know that you already extend yourself in a loving way. And what I really want to say is, go ahead and do something, and even just showing up somewhere with a little smile is choosing the love